I bid you all good morning, good evening, and good night, wherever you may be watching this transmission. It is I, Mike Martins, and we have our man, Evan, the Macronical here from Toronto,
Woo!
woo, from Toronto, Ontario, giving us a
Yep.
little showdown and a layout on what's happening. He just posted his latest videos. He has been discussing unemployment. Watch the unemployment numbers, watch the unemployment numbers, watch what's going to happen with layoffs. But now, Evan, let me ask you this first question. Did you ever fathom 2 months ago a pandemic?
It- not to this extent. I mean, we knew something was going on. I mean, China had their. It first came out of China, I believe, around 2.5 months ago, and then you kind of knew from that point it was going to spread. I mean, there was no way to predict. I mean, it spread to something like this. I mean, there was no way to predict that.
Yeah.
Now, all of it, my models didn't have a 500,000 spike in like a week. I
No.
didn't have anything like that.
No, but your
There's
models
no
were
kind of
your models were
virus.
very accurate. They were on par, and and this is and you're working with numbers that you're allowed to know, right? They're giving you
Yeah.
numbers that you're allowed to work with, right? And
Yeah.
given those numbers, they didn't work out. I mean, they worked out pretty bad for the economy.
Oh yeah, I mean, obviously the virus just accelerated things right to the upside, and it's amazing how fast things have changed in the last month.
It is.
You you can sense it out there.
You could
People
feel
aren't
it.
confident anymore. People are scared now, and listen, rightfully so, because at the end of the day, a lot of jobs now aren't don't have like super amount of guarantees or these big severance packages like they did 10, 20, 30 years ago.
Can I tell?
Right?
Can I give you my angle on that?
Yeah.
Back in the day, there was a shortage of qualified workers, and back in the day when they needed you, they gave you these packages because they wanted you to work for them back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. Ooh, you're an engineer? You just got out of college? Why don't you come work for us? We'll give you this, 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 and this. Now, everyone's fighting tooth and nail for just an above minimum wage engineer job.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, because of that, things are way more competitive now, and yeah, we can get in a whole other conversation on that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I mean, it's quite amazing out there. Like, it just, I don't know how you feel, but it just feels like everyone, no matter the income class or who you are, it feels like everybody's on pins and needles now.
It does, walking on eggshells. So tell us,
Oh,
unemployment explosion, your latest video, bazooka, and more. Give us a little rundown, guys. This is the Macronical right here. Not the Macronical, but the Macronical on here. This is
yep.
his website. Sorry, on YouTube. You could find him, the Macronical. Let's get him up to 1,000 subscribers. I'm pretty sure there's enough people that are watching this later that could push him over 1,000, so he could start making a bit of AdSense on his videos because his videos are good, and he doesn't pump out videos like every like 5 videos a day, but he pumps out a video every other day, but he keeps it fresh, which is really good, and it's not stale, which I like.
Yeah, yeah.
But
And
sometimes you
honestly,
sometimes you got a broken record yourself sometimes to get to drill it into people's heads.
oh God, you absolutely have to sometimes. I mean, for example, how many channels on YouTube have been reporting about rising unemployment?
Not many.
Besides just me, you, and a couple others, that's it.
No, not
And
many. Not many. There's a couple of the bigger channels that do it, but I see them kind of like I don't know. They're on par. Sometimes they're off par, but a lot of them either they're heavily politicalized, which is the problem.
yeah,
And that's a huge issue when you're heavily politicalized. It clouds judgment, and then a lot of them are built off heavy hate towards whoever. You know what I'm saying? And
oh yeah.
yeah, when you get into politics. So okay, so tell us about unemployment explosion, CMHC, and bazooka. Give us a rundown, buddy.
Well, the unemployment, of course, it came out that 500,000 people applied for EI last
That's
week.
right.
I think only like 25, 30,000 applied last year. But funny enough, actually, I think the bottom tick percentage wise for unemployment in Canada, I believe, was May of last year.
Right.
And since then, it's been basing and been slowly going up ever since. So whether we had the virus, didn't have the virus, it was going up anyways, and we already knew that with all the layoffs that were happening. And you've covered this many times also.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you this question. I'm gonna put you on the spot because this is a tough one.
Yeah.
I've had 11 people message me in the last day with the same topic. Mike, I went to unemployment. I waited a week. I waited 2 weeks. I waited 3 weeks, and they got back to me and told me I did not qualify. Now, on a legal standpoint, because somebody paid in, let's say, 5 years into unemployment, Could they legally get that money back because they don't qualify? Like, I know this is a tough question.
Yeah, the problem there, unfortunately, is paying EI is like paying taxes in a sense.
Ooh.
At the end of the day, if your tax dollars are tax dollars, you know how governments love to waste money, right?
Right.
So at the end of the day, I mean, it kind of falls under the same sort of like regard in that sense, where you can't go to your government and say, "Oh, I want a tax refund." Well, there's certain things you're entitled to, but like going up to them and saying, "I want all 50,000 or 60,000, whatever I paid in 5 years,"
Yeah.
you can't do the same thing for EI and say, "Oh, because I paid into an EI program,
I don't
I'm entitled.
qualify.
They're no longer entitled to it," because obviously when you pay into it, unfortunately they even list it and everything else. There is stipulations there. I mean, again, as far as these cases here, it's tough for me to talk about because it's case by case
It
and
is
there's
case by
different
case,
whether
definitely.
whether they quit a certain job, whether it's packaged out or under contract to EI, they're totally different things to how your hours are eligible, etc. So that's really not a topic we really should be having on here, to be honest.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, yeah, I mean, the chances of you getting your money back for EI are the same as getting it back from the government for anything.
Okay. I just kind of wanted to throw that out there because I'm getting a lot of people telling me that they're not qualified for EI, and that's scary, especially with all these layoffs happening right now. That's the scary part of it.
Oh yeah, because I mean, and all the job losses that happened recently too. A lot of them are sudden.
Yeah.
A lot of them just you come up 2 week. We're in a pandemic. 2 weeks later, you have a job, and it's hit you so fast. I mean, your head's spinning. Like that part. Listen, I get it. I mean, this thing, like in the stock market, even especially too, all this happened really quick.
Yeah. And
Like you went to the stock market one day, 2 weeks later, kaboom. I mean,
Kaboom.
you wake up overnight and it's a crash.
it's a big time crash. All
It's
right.
never fallen this fast, and I think
I think it's just the line 1929.
yeah. And at the end of the day, I think it's just the sheer like speed, the velocity for it going down. That's just hit people hard,
Yeah.
and that part, I 100% get it. I mean,
It's
yeah.
unfathomable. It's unimaginable 2 months ago.
Oh yeah. I mean, it was unfathomable to most bulls 6 weeks ago, even as a matter of fact. And look what happened.
All right, so we got the markets open right now. Dow sitting at 19,173, down 913.
Yep.
Right now, that's the Dow. We got the Canadian to U.S. dollar right now in a bit of trouble. No, actually, dollar's rallying right now, so it's at 69. The TSX right now is down 318 points. It was up earlier in the market trading day. They're at 11,851. They were pushing the 20,000 mark a few weeks ago, and all of a sudden they're down to 11,851.
Report where the Aussie dollar is right now.
Oh, hold on a sec. I'll get there. The S&P 500 is down 104, sitting at 2,304. You're going to see a lot of what you might call hedge funds take a hit today. The Dow,
Well,
yeah,
if they aren't already, I mean, the month of March for them hasn't been good for the hedge fund industry. I'll tell you that.
and the Dow's down. What a surprise! 913, down 4.55%. We might reach the $18,000 Dow mark soon. And Canadian to U.S. dollar right now, $69, doing okay. Crypto looks like it's has crypto hit bottom, Evan?
It's same problem crypto's going to have is that gold is the paper markets for gold and silver have. At the end of the day, they're just selling those because it's the first thing they can sell to cover a margin call for their equity positions and their corporate bond positions. So at the end of the day, I mean, it's just going to keep getting hit with it. There's nothing like really from this margin call that's happening in the markets right now from all the extreme positioning the hedge funds had. One, that's really what the Fed was looking at for repo. I don't care what anybody says. He's zero hedges on that, months ago.
They were.
And secondly, you're just going to sell, in essence, in any margin call, the same thing happens. You sell your winners to pay for your losers.
That's right.
And precious metals in the paper market, it did well for the previous 9 months before that. And now they see it up and they got this margin call and they got to sell what they can sell.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the day, they have to
They gotta
gain,
make up
they have
losses.
liquidity. They got to take it. They got to pay for that margin call. That's all there is to it.
We got gold sitting at 1501, up $21 on the day. Do you see gold really going high on paper, or are you going to see they're going to keep it? I did a video last night. I sent you a link to it about the black market gold prices where people are buying gold over spot, and and bullion dealers don't care. You want to pay for this? I want 1,500 euros for an ounce, and that's like 2,000 American. It's their call. They want to buy it. No, if they don't, there's someone that's willing to buy it for that much.
Oh yeah, and then all the gold refineries, like I said, are in Switzerland. They're all down because of the virus right
Right.
now. And I mean, same thing even in Toronto. You go to any like physical gold dealer in Toronto, they're a lot of gold right now too. I mean, there's at least like I think like a 2 week wait in some places here right now too. Even so, I mean, at the end of the day, it's everywhere. And there's a serious. And let's face it, over paper, there's a serious demand for physical gold right now.
There is.
And it isn't going to stop because of some virus or the economy's going down. Like, no, this is actually the time you buy physical. A lot of people actually buy physical gold
That's right.
because they want that physical. They want that safety net, right?
Right. They want
Whereas
to put it in their pocket.
it's not going to do that.
They want to pocket things.
Exactly.
Bond is down. Let me see. The 10-year bond's down. NASDAQ is down 271. Volatility. VIX is going slowly coming down. I've never seen volatility this high in my entire life. I've always seen the VIX around 27, 35, the volatility levels. I've never seen it like in the 60s ever. And
Yeah,
that shows mass sell-offs or mass buy, right? So it's either one or the other.
I think if I remember correctly, it peaked around this point in 2008, 2009.
It did, eh?
Like, this
Yeah.
is where it is now, and more easily probably going to pass that by the time this is said and done.
Yeah.
But remember the VIX too. At the market peak, how many hedge funds were shorting VIX like mad?
Lots.
Lots. I mean, I remember reading in the CME managed money spec sheets, they were like 90% of money was that short.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, one little spark, boom. That's exactly what happened.
That's it doesn't take too much to get it going. But
Yep.
but now let me ask you, because you are in Canada, a government announces $82 billion aid package. Is that enough, or is that just a good start?
I mean, where's the $82 billion going? I mean, I even did a video on this like earlier in the week. I mean, you know where the $82 billion is? A vast majority of that money is just, oh, I'll defer this, I'll defer that, I'll defer that. Like, at the end of the day, is it physical help in actually people's pockets? No.
No,
it
doesn't. It's not going into the hands of the
really,
workers.
Yeah, you just basically, all the $82 billion is doing is just taking the economy and trying to kick the can down the road.
And that's like very dangerous.
If you need help now, let's face it, there's nothing there for you.
It's like building a house of cards, right? You get your cards out, nice crisp playing cards. You start building your little house, then you start building the second level, and then you start building the third level up top, and it gets more and more precarious the higher you go, and before you know it.
Yeah, I mean, we can even talk about as well too. The CMHC yesterday comes out and says,
Yeah.
"Oh, if you're a bank and you have a couple of bad debts, here you go, guys. We'll take it on for you, no problem."
Wow, that's danger.
Yeah, so now the CMHC said instead of only loans backed by them, they'll go ahead and securitize. They'll now take your unsecured loans. They'll now take your 30-year AMs. They'll now take your refis on top of that. So if you got a bad loan, we'll take it, no problem. Well, if you can't see the moral hazard in that, I mean, I don't know what else to tell you.
Are they going to repackage it and sell it off, or are they just going to just buy and hold it?
Well, they're going to securitize it and then at least try and sell it off. I mean, The one thing I want to know is you're an investor and you know that the loan quality on those books isn't exactly what they're saying it is.
Oh, it's
I wonder what the spread's going to be on that. That's what I want to know. The spread's like 1 percentage point over the Canadian 5-year. Woo!
Woo! Okay, I got some good news. Ottawa gives support to makers of medical supplies. That's a good one.
That's a good one. Yeah, well, we're massively short right now, and if you see it, and they're the ones doing Omen's work right now. I mean, we need all that we can get. We need all the work from them we can get, and they're already putting in, frankly, I mean, way more than we could ever ask of them already. I mean, it's only going to get worse from here because, I mean, as the testing comes out and we see more cases come out, our hospitals start overflowing because of everyone has to be hospitalized ultimately from this. I think I saw a study 20% of people who get the virus have to be hospitalized.
That's not good.
That's pretty scary because we're already short on facilities right now as it is in Canada. I mean, I can only imagine it now with this.
Let me ask you this one. Now a little bit off topic. I'm going to give you the off-topic questions once in a blue moon.
Sure.
For kind of chicken noodle soup for the soul. Here it is. What would you do, Evan, if you were in the position in Italy, like the doctors, to choose who dies and lives?
Oh
That
God,
hurts, dude.
I don't even want to think about that.
I'd walk away
Man,
and
I
say,
don't even
guys, you know
think
what?
about
Flip a coin.
because
You guys flip a coin. Leave me out of it, because I could never
what
do
on,
that.
like, yeah, they're basically choosing in Italy who lives and who dies. It's like I don't even want to be in that position. I don't even want to be in that position.
I would just put my hands up and say, I surrender. You know, like, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be one I'd defer and walk out the building. I wouldn't take on that. I wouldn't take on that one. No
Okay,
way,
I
no
just,
how.
I bring up the oddball, lowball, or curveball question once in a while to make you think outside the box, right?
And the thing that no one thinks about all this, I mean, yes, it's of course like any other illness, it's the elderly that are dying the most, right?
Right,
But you have to think, who are they getting it from?
right,
It's from like 20, 30, 40-year olds who are the ones that are really hustling and bustling, moving around, so to speak.
right.
They go around, they get it, they spread it with a spread rate, I think, of around 4 to 6, I believe coronavirus has.
That's
You,
worse than the common flu.
oh, God, oh, the common flu is nothing to this. Actually, if you want to compare it to anything, this is more like a severe pneumonia than actually more than a flu, if anything. But
Mm.
we can get into that discussion another time. But I mean, with the spread rate of it and how much the kid, I mean, up until last week, I mean, 20, 30, 40-year olds are moving along fine.
Mm-hmm.
And in that time, they go to see their folks, see their grandparents. Everyone has their Saturday or Sunday get together or whatnot.
Right.
They meet up. They then give it to like 4 or 5 other people.
Yeah.
They meet around, do it, and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden you got the situation we're in now.
Now, okay, they're saying mass COVID virus spread doesn't have. This is an article that says basically from yesterday that doesn't have to lead to mass layoffs. What do you think? Do you think they're making the right choice by doing mass layoffs by stopping the spread, or do you think it's a must?
Well, I mean, the problem is they have to. Because remember, a lot of the shutdowns are government mandated. So at the end of the day, a lot of the shutdowns that are happening right now aren't up to the companies themselves. I mean, people that already self-quarantined and already stopped going out by the time they announced it really anyways. But at the end of the day, I mean, you look at it from the company standpoint. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
another thing too, I mean, look what's happening in the corporate bond market in the US right now. They've been telling you for the last like 2 months the companies were going to be in a situation because of this. It's because less people go out, less spending, less profits, less sales.
Yep.
They then can't service their debts, and now they're calling about trying to defer lease payments off. And then when they can't do that, they have to fire people. And I've talked about it myself too, the dreaded doom loop. And it's really all that's happening right now. So at the end of the day, I mean, from the standpoint of whether we can avoid the mass layoffs, I just don't think there's any way to.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, and another point I'll mention there too, and I mentioned this myself also, the virus wasn't the cause of it, it was a big trigger towards it. Now, what do I mean? We had an excessive debt load in the world, the most in history. At the end of the day, the whole economy, to be honest, is built on a house of cards of debt. And all the virus did was just do a little prick on it, and then a little prick caused what we have now.
Right. Well, we were kind of, what do you say, forecasting this on our channels, all our channels, for years now.
Oh yeah, I mean, and to be honest as well too. I mean, when did the global economy peak? Like 2 years ago. The growth peaked like 2.5 years ago, and we've been slowly going down ever since. It just until now, until all this happened, we really can't feel about it.
But Evan, it wasn't peaked by me and you. It was peaked by a lot of foreign money and laundered money. That's what peaked at the bubbles.
Exactly. No. Oh, yeah. We can get into that one too, and that peaked it, and it caused a wealth effect and a snowball effect, and so there was an element to that also, and obviously to keep up, everyone had to go into debt because they really didn't feel like they had any other way. Let's face it, they didn't, to be honest, and then from there it just went this and bubbled up, sort of hit the crest, and now we're
cratering,
kind of just starting to go down now. So.
Oil sector is a high priority in Canada, with the industry also grappling with global price wars sparked by the breakdown of talks between Russia and Saudi Arabia and other OPEC producers. The price of a barrel is heavy Alberta crude hit the lowest record in this week. What is Canada going to do? Because Canada is dependent on housing, construction, and oil. What are we going to do now with oil in the pits? You get it? Oil in the pits or oil in the sands? Oil in the sands. What are we going to do now?
Oil down the tanker. We can
Yeah.
go on all day with that one.
Yeah. So what do we do now?
Yeah.
What's Canada going to do now? Because obviously we didn't diversify what Canada's potentials are. Because Canada has a lot of potentials. We never diversified. We just kept it in 3-4 sectors. And now what? What are we going to do with oil?
I mean, forget us. I mean, Australia is in the same situation Canada is in right now.
So
Australia was oil resources. No, actually, no. Australia was resources, real estate, and what was the other one? Yeah, resources. Actually, Australia is actually less than us. Australia is just resources and real estate. That's all Australia's been for the last 30 years. But that's another discussion. I mean, what's Canada going to do? I mean, try and prop it up as long as they can because they have nothing else. I don't know what else to say on that. I mean, at the end of the day, the last 10, 20 years, they've really done this to themselves. They haven't wanted to diversify. They just built up a house of cards based on debt. Now it's all popping. And you can even see from the way they've been kind of handling this last couple of weeks, they're freaked out and don't know what to do. But at the end of the day, it was all they're making.
Yeah.
I mean, I was actually, it's funny because I was having a discussion with a friend of mine a couple of days ago, and I still never for the I can't fathom for the life of me why Canada never took agriculture a lot more than what we did.
They should have. They should have taken agriculture. They should have gotten serious about diversifying the country's portfolio into other sectors, because now we're screwed.
Yeah, I mean, we could diversify a bit into high tech. Also, we could have gone that way. And I know some companies are talking about moving into Toronto and Vancouver, but that's nowhere near what we need. But anyways,
no. And then with the expensive costs of living, it's going to be hard for people to find employment. So
yeah,
it's not hard to find employment, hard to find a place to live.
Well, hard to find a place to live, and also companies also see the high cost of living also, and it's kind of giving them second thoughts about coming here also now, and it's a whole snowball effect in that regard. But
okay, I got
yeah, go ahead.
Tough question. Tough. Ready? Country's airline industry may need billions of aid to stay afloat. The Canadian government is also trying to help struggling manufacturing sector. So let's go back to the airline. So airline industry need billions to stay afloat. Here's the problem. The average Canadian is roughly $200 away from being insolvent.
Yes.
No one's flying around. So what's you get me. Why is our government not helping people so they could find or build more affordable housing and get more people off the streets instead of bailing out airlines? Airlines are our private sector. Why are they bailing out the private sector for? It makes no sense. With the average Canadian that can't fly, why do we need so many airlines? Go ahead.
I mean, and also look at the way a lot of these companies have used their money also. Instead of investing in their own businesses, they just went into the corporate bond market, both in Canada and the U.S. They go into the corporate bond market, and all they've been doing for the last decade especially is buying back their own stock.
Stock buybacks.
So why were they doing debt-infused buybacks instead of using that corporate debt to good use? Go in, innovate, revolutionize your business, invest in new areas.
Yeah.
And that's something we talked about, I think, in a previous live stream of yours. These companies, because they get all these bailouts, they're made stagnant because they know, okay, if things go bad, government gives me this.
Yeah. So,
for them, there's no incentive, right? But at the end of the day,
but there's no incentive for the Canadian.
So, why is government getting involved with companies where all they did was take their own cash and buy back their own companies with it?
Yeah.
So why are we then giving them money to help those companies? I can't fathom it.
Yeah.
I just can't fathom it.
Because this doesn't benefit the average Canadian one bit, especially if they can't jump on a plane and do something or go fly somewhere.
Yeah, no one can afford. Look at those 200 majority Canadians barely having a few $100 to live. Are they going to be able to fly anywhere? God, no, they have no money.
We need to keep those airlines open to bring in more money.
We know the end goal, right?
Yeah.
Keep the airlines open and bring in the rich investors.
That's right.
Woo!
Woo! All right, let's move on. I got something else here.
Oh, man.
Okay, Canada's main stock market fell, and the loonie gave back much of its earlier gains on Friday, with both down sharply for the week. As global efforts contain to the spread of COVID pandemic weighed on the economic outlook. So we know that. New York and California imposed tough new restrictions limiting the activity of 60 million people in 2 states to curb the spread of the virus, while Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said that he expected the closure of the U.S.-Canada border to take effect overnight. Now, border closing. This is up today. This was put up about an hour and a half ago. Are we seeing the borders being closed soon?
Yeah, they've already announced it. So, I mean, the borders, it sounds like, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, everyone else basically had put their countries in lockdown anyway. So no one was really going anywhere, to be honest. But yeah, the borders are essentially shutting down. Yes. That much, I mean, we pretty much know is a formality now.
Okay. Crypto hedge fund goes belly up after Bitcoin price drops $3,800. So, Adaptive Capital, a crypto hedge fund, has announced that it will shutter all its operations after taking heavy losses during the March 13 crypto market meltdown. So, are we going to see more of this happening over time?
Well, hedge funds blow up? Oh, yeah, you're going to see more hedge funds blow up over time.
And crypto companies melting down.
Unfortunately, yep. I mean, in both areas, whatever it is, I mean, you're going to see a lot of funds blow up from this. There is too much hot money, too much speculative money in the system. They all got greedy at the wrong time. Bada bing, bada boom. One thing leads to another. One dominoes falls, they all fall.
Follow the money, right?
Oh, absolutely. And really, that's all they were doing. They followed the money into the wrong things at the wrong time, and they're stuck holding one hell of a bag for it, let's just say.
So we're looking at market mayhems in the Bitcoin markets. Let's move over here. So I asked you this early. Is the crypto market bottom in? So you said basically it's like every other paper asset. So
pretty much. I mean, some thoughts Bitcoin could go back to 1,200 soon. And really, I don't see that out of the realm of possibility.
So New York City restaurants face massive layoffs. That's a big deal because a lot of those popular restaurants, you see Broadway musicals being shut down. Yep. You're seeing all kinds of good stuff that keeps the state of New York functioning as a normal state. Now, I mean, every state's got a little bit. Texas got its oil. You got New York, yep. It's got its entertainment / they got 3, 5, 10, 20 sports teams out of there.
Yep.
How is this going to affect? How are you going to? What is this going to do for New York's deficits? We keep talking about Canada and cities like Toronto and this, and then them raising taxes to flip the deficits to pay for their bad spending habits. What are you going to do with a state like New York with 25 million people?
Yeah, deficits are going to explode everywhere. I mean, Canada announces an $82 billion deficit, which is essentially what the stimulus is. Because remember as well, too, I mean, California, Texas, and New York, on the world stage, they're pretty large economies. I think
they are.
If they all were their own countries, they'd all be in the top 12 in the world.
They would.
And we're not talking small potatoes here. So, I mean, how are they going to do this? I mean, well, it's actually funny you mentioned that, because the Federal Reserve actually announced on Friday that, of course, they're going to start buying municipal bonds.
Yes, that's right.
So I think what in essence the plan sort of being laid out here is they're going to go ahead and issue all this through a massive amount of debt, and the Federal Reserve is just going to go ahead and buy it all.
But that's
what I think is going to happen.
To pay Paul back.
Exactly. But at the end of the day, I mean, with the interest expense and everything else you have on that debt, it's going to have to get paid from somewhere. And we kind of have a good idea as to where it's going to get paid from, right?
Right. And when I keep telling people, look, when they introduce or they put it in more quantitative easing, people tell me, no, Mike, that's the Fed doing that. It's not taxpayers' money. It is taxpayers' money because it devalues our currency. Yeah,
because how's they going to go ahead and buy all that debt? They need more currency to buy all that debt. I mean, and the money itself doesn't grow on trees, right?
Yet.
They got to pull the printing press out. They got to print more currency, increase the supply of the currency, which then makes it worth less in the end. So at the end of the day, that money has to come from somewhere.
Okay, now dangerous question. Hyperinflation. When do we start? We're already seeing the signs of hyperinflation over the last 2 weeks with the mass printing of money. We did see our dollar drop below the 70-cent mark on the U.S. Where do you see in the next quarter? Quarterly numbers are going to be released in the next 2.5 weeks. First quarter is going to be a disaster. We're going to see the markets open after the release of earnings. You're going to see our dollar drop. Are we going to see a 65-cent Canadian dollar on the U.S.?
Oh, that's already formality now. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me at this point if we even see a 60-cent dollar pretty soon here. I mean, the problem is we know what the game plan is going to be. The Bank of Canada has, I think, 75 basis points of room left now. they're going to do an emergency cut before the next meeting. Things are falling that
Wow.
fast. Well, here's the thing. We already know they're going to do that because the Federal Reserve. Because here's the thing: no one realizes the Federal Reserve cut a basis point. I believe it was last Sunday. You're not cutting 3 days before your meeting for nothing. You know something's wrong when you're doing that,
Right.
and there's no way the Federal Reserve is going to do that by themselves. Like someone else is going to have to go with them. And of course, and then there's times in history where the Fed and Bank of Canada both cut in the same month. Look up the dates. It ain't exactly a good thing for the economy.
Coincidentally.
2001, 2008, now. I mean,
Okay.
so you know things are good out there, and they're going to get desperate and just cut rates. You'll wake up one morning, and they'll just have dropped to zero right off the bat.
Okay. So do you see? So you see our hyperinflationary measures. What are they going to put in place to prevent hyperinflation if we can't increase production and we can't increase construction and we can't get more foreign money to come in to prop up our economy? What the heck are they going to do to deleverage the amount of debt they're distributing?
I think how they can get their way out
They
of this.
can't tax our wages. They can't tax our wages because the majority of us aren't working. So what happens now?
Oh, I think they basically laid out the plan yesterday as far as the CMHC did with how they're going to start bundling all the debt and everything else going forward. They just got to try in some way to go ahead and buy it all. But, I mean, we've seen through history that money never filters through to the real economy.
No.
And you're even seeing now, that the government put on economies is essentially dead. Like, that's what's come out the last month or so. Is the Fed pumps trillions and trillions and trillions and more trillions into the economy. It just keeps going down. It just tells you that the markets have no confidence in the authorities anymore. And that's really what it's telling you now.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're going to go ahead and buy all the debt, but I'm just not sure it's going to make an iota of difference.
Do you think the Americans have something up their sleeves beside going to war again with another country, or do you think? Because I'm feeling hot war in the Middle East, or not Middle East, sorry. I'm feeling hot war in Eastern Europe, and I'm feeling hot war in the South China Sea area. And I don't want to. I hope I'm dead wrong, and I hope I don't know what the heck I'm talking about.
I feel the South China Sea one more than anything else because the U.S. and China are the two superpowers of the global sort of the world. I mean, we all know that, right? Both militarily, economically, et cetera, et cetera. And usually, when the top two economies in the world start butting heads, what happens? They get into a shooting war.
That's right.
So if I were to be a betting man, I would go with South China Sea first and foremost before anything else. Eastern Europe in comparison to the U.S. and China is just a little mere sideshow. At the end of the day, I mean, the big shooting war is going to be U.S., China, South China Sea. It wouldn't surprise me if you see it in the next 5 years either.
Okay, I put up on the community chat on my channel, on the channel there, I put up the other day, is Russia going broke? Because with the price of oil right now, I see Russia in dire straits right now. Could Russia be... Russia sold off most of its U.S. treasuries already.
That's right.
So are they now heading towards insolvency? Is Russia looking at... I know every country on the planet is broke. I understand that.
Oh, yeah.
But is Russia worse off and they're hiding it?
I have a feeling through this whole thing, Russia's got something up their sleeve. The reason why I say that is because, remember, too, the last couple of years, the Russians and the Chinese are the two biggest buyers of gold in the world. So we all know the gold reserves have gotten pretty plentiful for what they needed. If they want to keep the oil export economy going, all they got to do is just devalue the ruble 30 or 40%, and all of a sudden, the price decline makes no difference. And
Right.
They've already shown in history they can go ahead and do that, and they'll just flood their own economy with rubles. Now, unfortunately, that's only going to last for so long when oil just keeps going down the way it is, because you can't go ahead and push hyperinflation on your middle class and have it last forever, right? It just never works that way. My funny thing is, I haven't particularly found out what it is yet, but the Russians, by the sounds of it, got something up their sleeve. The thing that tells me that, here's what tells me that too. Go back to the OPEC meeting about 2 years ago.
Okay.
It was the Russians that initiated it, and the Russians that said, "We're out of the deal. That's it. We're going to price war." For the Russians to go ahead and do that leads me to believe they got something going on the back end that we didn't see.
Right.
That's really the way I see it. What it is, I'm not going to claim to know, but they got something going on in the background there. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's why I've been having this uneasy feeling that if Russia starts going bankrupt, I'm seeing that Russia takes different approaches when they go bankrupt, unlike
Oh,
other
yeah.
countries. Yeah. So
And they control the gas flow into Europe also. So
that's
there's another
correct.
there's one big avenue they do have if it ever comes to it. So yeah, the Russians got something up their sleeve on that. That much I know.
But one good thing about this situation is that we're heading into summer right now. So that's a good thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So hopefully the virus we can control it by then. Hopefully the summer weather does something to it. Although I kind of don't believe the whole summer winter thing, and I'll magically just die off. I magically just don't believe that for whatever reason because all of a sudden Malaysia's going to pop up in cases, and Malaysia's got some of the most humid weather in the world. So, so hopefully by the summer, yes. I mean, Eric Townsend from Macro Voice has been talking about like how he sees the peak of the virus probably being around the 1st of June. Let's hope it does peak in the 1st of June. Well, here's the thing: the 1st of June also coincides with summer too. So if it does peak then, and hopefully we can have a quiet summer, and that's what we can all hope for.
Yeah,
Whether it
because
happens,
we got the southern hemisphere going into winter.
exactly. And one of the biggest economies in the southern hemisphere, of course, is Australia, and they have one of the biggest bubbles in the world. And you know what happens with them now. So
Yeah, they're so hedged on housing too, and foreign money and money laundering and casinos and stuff. So
oh,
guys, here we go. The Macronical, there he is. There's his channel there. Guys, you need to subscribe to him. He's a really good guy, very transparent, not stale at all, not stale. His stuff is really good. It's original. And you're going to promise us at least a video every 3 days, Evan?
well, I can easily do that. I mean, right now the way things are going, I can almost go a video every day.
Good. I've been seeing here almost every day. That's good. That's good.
So many things are happening right now too, from what's going on in the markets to unemployment. I mean, you can even talk about too what's going on with the Toronto condo investors right now too. I mean, and everything that's going on there because they're carrying their condos at negative cash flow, and all of a sudden people are out of jobs. People are worried about their jobs. They've lost income, and all of a sudden they're calling now. I can't make rent on the 1st. What can we do?
Yeah.
And landlords are all levered up to over their eyeballs in debt and really have no other option at this point than just to go ahead and dump it on the market. So I think you're going to see a lot of condo listings because of that hit Toronto the next couple of months.
Right. Right. All right, Evan. I want to thank you for coming on the show. And wow, 37-minute show. Whoa. We covered a lot. I try to, throw some curveball questions out there because we like to also reach people more in other ways too. It's not just about business and money. It's about, thinking outside the box and kind of maybe, really getting out there, and asking, creating good discussion.
Absolutely. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I love going on your show. I mean, you talk about like so many different things in just a matter of a couple hours, and it keeps the audience really intrigued. It keeps the show moving. It does a lot of good things in that regard. Yes.
Yes. Yes. All right, Evan. We're gonna let you. We're gonna let each other go, and we will talk. Don't hang up your Skype. I'm just gonna stop the recording here.
Hey.
Have a good one, okay, guys?
My name is Evan. This is the Macronical, where the future starts today.
That's right. The future starts today. Thank you, Evan.
No problem, buddy.